seminar session organized by the School of Science of Business Management School. We really appreciate your presence in such a big number, despite all the challenges we are facing in the country. We really appreciate it. So before we start, let me introduce the eminent resource person for today's seminar. Mr. Roshan Abeyratne is a researcher and doctoral scholar in the Department of Biology, West Virginia University in the USA. His current research focuses on characterizing the recombination landscape of populus trichocapa, that is black cottonwood. Mr. Roshan's future research is aimed at using genomic or multi-omic data to understand genetic variation of complex traits within breeding populations of black cottonwood as it relates to domestication of this species as bioenergy feedstock. So it gives me pleasure to invite Mr. Roshan Abeyratne to share his valuable insights with you all on genetics, functional genomics, and bioinformatics. Mr. Roshan, over to you.
So thank you so much for the nice introduction, and I should especially thank Dr. Mathir and Dr. Manuel Dimel for organizing this and the rest of the organizing committee. And thanks especially for turning up in such a huge number. And it's every researcher's dream to give a talk at Harvard. So we are at Harvard. All right, so this is West Virginia University. This is where I do my PhD at the moment, and I'm hoping to graduate, like most of you all, at the end of December. And West Virginia is a very nice place. I don't know whether you've heard the song "Take Me Home to West Virginia." Like that song talks about West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and that area. It's beautiful, and that's the campus over there. So yeah, the motto is "Wild and Wonderful." Right, as you guys can see, it's a beautiful place. And one of the reasons I selected West Virginia University was because of its natural temperate forests. So it's easier for a researcher who's studying forests and forestries if you're closer to a forest, natural forest. Okay. That's the biology department on the left in summer and over right in the winter. Like we get like a heavy snowfall, and people from Texas and all those places where you don't get snow come to visit us very often because of the snowfall and for skiing and all that. So what I'm going to talk about today is my PhD doctoral research, and it consists of about 3 modules. I'm not going to go through A to C on all my doctoral research because that's going to bore you off. Okay? So I'm going to just touch on some key elements and maybe some takeaways. There'll be some takeaways for you guys, what I talk about. And then maybe it'll be easier for you to think about your future. Right? I know that some of you study biotechnology and others biomedical science. I'm not going to speak to more biomedical science today, but I'll probably touch on biotech and some things to think about when you think of genetic control of phenotypes. Okay. And the topic is going to be characterizing the genetic architecture and multi-omic prediction of wood chemistry traits in populus trichocapa. So populus trichocapa is like a rubber tree. Yeah, like if you can think of a rubber tree, that's what populus trichocapa looks like when you see it actually. It's okay if you don't understand the title and you can't relate to it because we're going to go through some of it. Okay. Now, why study wood chemistry? What's the importance of studying wood chemistry? The thing is, it's not news to you that fuel prices are going up, right? So we need to find alternatives, especially sustainable energy. So it's important for us to invest as a planet on renewable energy, and one of the ways is to invest in biofuels. Biofuels is nothing but capturing carbon from the atmosphere, storing it in trunks, biomass, right? It's also called carbon sequestration. Right? Those are the big words. But that's what it is. And then once you capture that, there are always ways and means for you to release that captured carbon and produce energy. Right? So that is very important for us because fossil fuel has caused anthropogenic climate crisis. Some people don't like this term being used. Not people in Sri Lanka, but half of United States, right? Some of them don't like the anthropogenic part, but human-caused climate crisis. But science has proved that that's happening. Right? We have accelerated the global temperature increase, precipitation rhythms have changed. Right? So there's a crisis happening at the moment. So we need sustainable energy. And then biofuel is slated to be one of the best fuels, because when I thought about this at first, why can't you use just battery? Why can't we just put a battery just like we put it in a Tesla or an electric car and run it? The thing is, the jets can't do that. The energy density in a battery is not enough for you to power a turbine in an engine. So you definitely need some form of liquid fuel, and that's going to come in the form of biofuel. Right? So even if you see all the combustion engines face off, you would still see biofuels being used by the aviation sector. Right? So that's why it's important. We are mainly targeting the aviation sector on this. And they always say that the lignocellulosic, so lignin and cellulose are the main components of a tree trunk, right, in trees. Lignocellulosic biofuels are much more sustainable than what you produce with sugar and starch, right? Sugar and starch produced bioethanol comes from corn, beet, sugarcane, and so on, right? And the other thing is that if we try to produce biofuels from these crops, we're gonna make half the world go hungry, right? And there are some of these crops like corn. When you grow corn, they're being spoiled as a crop, right? They need watering, they need fertilizers, they need lots of things. So they cannot be grown on marginal land, no way, right? They need specialized fields. But biofuels produced with lignocellulosic ethanol using trees that I'm going to propose, they can be grown on marginal land, right? They don't compete with food, land for food. So the question was, in my research, am I looking to find all the genes for a certain trait and then predict the phenotype? Am I right? Is that okay? So this is the thing. When it comes to quantitative traits, right now, I don't know about it, another 50 years, but right now it's completely impossible to do that. Because under the infinitesimal model, right, each gene or like trace that controls the trait contributes only little tiny bit, right? Even if you divide it, so let's say a trait is controlled by 10,000 genes. You can clearly see this if you read your biochemistry textbooks. Right? Don't you guys study pathways? Right? Everything is a pathway, right? You take an amino acid the end amino acid comes through a huge pathway, right? Calvin cycle, right? All these things. So they're all biomolecular pathways. And I'm sure all these pathways, are they just, each reaction step is catalyzed by an enzyme. What's an enzyme? It's a protein, right? Proteins get made by amino acids, and those need to be formed, right? So in that formation of one particular enzyme, how many genes should be involved, right? So these are massive networks. That's why we cannot look at it linearly. We have to think about it holistically. It's a web, right? It's a neural net. So to answer your question directly, no, that's not what I'm doing in my research. It's a way to circumvent that problem, right? So the whole genome regression, all these mathematics, all these machine learning algorithms, just tells you, okay, I don't want to know all these things about gene control and all that. I just need to predict the phenotype, and I just need to know what the complexion is going to be of this person. I'm just hypothetically saying human research is not possible at the moment, okay, for these kind of things. So let's say a tree, right? I just want to know how tall the tree is going to be. I need a set of equations or a model that tells me when I sequence and put the information in genotypic sequence, how tall is the tree going to be, right? So it takes a cumulative estimate of what the contribution of each loci is, or like most significant loci are, and then it will give you a prediction. Right? It's more mathematical than really hardcore science. I know it's like not intellectually satisfying, I know that. Right? You need to know what the genes are, but for now, this is the best solution we have, right? Until we come up with something breakthrough like a CRISPR-Cas9 and so on. PhD to get into research? No. I thought twice about putting, actually, one of the undergrads whom I used to mentor. He worked in our lab and then moved on to study tsetse flies. It's a certain parasite called Bigglesworthia. It's growing in the tsetse fly. It's a major pest in African regions. He started studying that. So he was an undergrad in my lab, in our lab, and he, in the second year, wrote his own research project, and that got funded by the National Science Foundation, and he became the National Science Foundation Scholar. And that usually when American students get into university, they're usually about 16, 17 years old. So you're thinking about like an 18-year-old writing a research grant and getting funded. And then by 22, you graduate, and then I've heard that he's going to join one of the premier research institutes in the US, Arizona University, Dr. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's like one of the best places to study phylogenetics and evolutionary biology. So he's getting into that. So to answer the question, to do research, no. If you go to the US, if you talk to professors there who are teaching biology, they would always welcome an enthusiastic student who's willing to do research, and they'll completely integrate you to the research plan. At least that's my experience. If an undergrad student comes talks to me, it's usually I look at their grades. You need to have taken some molecular biology, biochemistry, and so on a little bit, not have flunked it, but just pass the grade. And also, if that person has a passion, they would definitely give an opportunity. And if you're like a very, how would you say, diligent researcher, a scientist, you have to be, right? If you're in biotechnology, then the chances are that you'll get hired and you'll stay hired until you graduate. And usually the PhD path in US is that you do an undergrad degree and then you immediately move to a PhD degree. I'm non-conventional. I had 2 master's degrees when I joined it. That's not the way to go, believe me. Okay. So if you want to do a PhD, you complete your undergraduate research, BSc, and then you can join a PhD program. And you can also, if you get a good GRE score and you've written a good SOP, the hiring professor may actually give you a full scholarship to study in the US. For my PhD, I didn't pay a cent. Everything was funded by US Department of Energy, which is why some of it I skipped, because I have non-disclosure agreements where I cannot show most of the stuff. So I'll share this presentation, but that's the case. So you don't have to be a PhD student to do research. When it comes to authorship in publications, yes, they might decide based on your contribution whether you actually have done enough to be considered an author in a publication. But getting into research, you don't need to have studied a PhD or being studying a PhD. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roshan. I now invite Dr. Mati Kandaya, Dean of School of Science, to hand over a token of appreciation to Mr. Roshan Abeyratne. On behalf of the School of Science of Business Management School, let me extend our sincere gratitude to Mr. Roshan Abeyratne for conducting this invaluable seminar for you all today. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and dedicating your time and effort to share your valuable knowledge and experience with our students and also to inspire them. Thank you once again to all of you for being here in numbers. We are really happy to see you all in such big numbers, despite all the challenges in the country right now. Keep up your level of interest and enthusiasm. Have a good day.